Papa, Papa, why is Uncle Amadi so mean? Is he not my uncle again? Uchenna sighed and patted his little son on the shoulder. My son, don't worry, soon you would understand. He left the little boy wondering. Uncle Amadi forcefully dragged his brother out and began to whip him. Okeh cried when his father was being whipped, but he couldn't do anything because he was firmly held and he was just a little boy. Despite how hard he pleaded and cried, he watched his father die at the hands of those thugs. Not only did his father face such torture from his brother, but also in the presence of the villagers, and no one came to his rescue. The villagers stood and watched those thugs whipped and tortured his father to his last breath. In the beautiful village of Umuoma, there lived a king named Nnanna. King Nnanna was a promiscuous young man who believed that no one had the right to question his actions because he was a king. Nnanna led with so many women, willingly and unwillingly. He even led with people's wives. Despite the cautions from both the cabinets and the chief priest, Nnanna listened to no one. Your Highness, you have brought an irredeemable curse upon yourself and the kingdom. The gods are very angry with you for different sacrilege you have committed. You laid with people's wives and underage girls. All these are against our tradition. You are obliged to perform a cleansing ritual to avoid the wrath of the gods. Otherwise, you will be severely punished. Not only you, but also the people of Umuoma. The chief priest cautioned the king on one occasion. Out of anger, the king ordered that the chief priest should be arrested and put in a dungeon. And this will serve as a lesson to all of you hungry-looking cabinets roaming around me. No one tells me what to do. I am your king and I am never wrong. If any of you dares question me again, you will face worse than this, the king roared. All his cabinets were terrified and no one uttered a word except Uchenna. Uchenna was known to be an upright and a man of truth. I am sorry, Your Majesty, but at this moment, I will have to resign from the cabinet. I cannot sit and watch calamities ravaging our dear kingdom and say nothing. Uchenna said as he removed his cap. Get out! Get out! Go and never come back, the king roared. Uchenna left the palace without looking back. Anyone else? Anyone else? Nnanna asked while pacing on and forth in anger. Many of the cabinet wanted to leave, but no one had the courage like Uchenna. King Nnanna had many children littered everywhere in the kingdom, and he was never bothered. One day, King Nnanna, accompanied by some of his guards, went to the village river to shower. While bathing, she saw a beautiful lady bathing at a bank of the river. He ordered his guards to bring the lady to him. When the lady saw the guards coming with fury, she began to run, but was caught and dragged to the queen. Who are you? Nnanna asked. My name is Dara. Dara, I am Nnanna, the king of Umuoma. I would like you to warm my bed tonight, Nnanna said. Dara smiled and obliged instantly. After bathing, they left with Dara to the palace. That night, the palace maidens attended to Dara and dressed her in a royal attire. Dara slept in the king's chamber, But the story changed the next day. Nnanna woke up and ordered the town crier to assemble all the children born by him to the palace. There were about 30 children from different mothers that assembled in the palace. They were all excited to dine with their father for the first time. There was a grand feast between the king and all his children. After the feast, the children were dismissed to their respective homes. That night, a big calamity befell the people of Umuoma. All the people that were part of the feast died. It happened that the food was poisoned by Dara. All the children born by the king and his wives died, and Nnanna was in a critical condition. The palace maidens, both those who cooked and the ones who served the meals, were all slaughtered. After a few days, the king regained consciousness but was already bewitched by Dara. He wept dearly, having lost everything, but he couldn't do anything. He married Dara and crowned her his queen. The moment Dara became the queen of Umuoma, she showed her real self. Queen Dara was a water demon who borrowed a human body. She was an ice in human shape. King Nnanna became a puppet to the Ice Queen. In order to secure her place as the queen of Umuoma, Dara bewitched all the palace guards and turned them against their people. She often sent her guards to the villagers to recruit strong and vibrant young men and women who would continue to serve her. She enjoyed torturing her subordinates. She used the people for her entertainment. She feeds on newborn babies and pregnant women. She eats raw food because her weakness is fire, and her guards ensured fire doesn't enter the palace. She ordered the guards to build a pool in the palace. Every night, she will melt into the pool. In the morning, she will take back her shape. Sometimes, she would invite her fellow water demons to the palace and use humans for entertainment. Inasmuch as the people of Umuoma were under the siege of the Ice Queen, some people were still looking for means to take back their village from the witch. One of these people was Uchenna. Uchenna had been a brave man since the time of Nnanna. He teamed up with his brother Amadi and some young men from Umuoma to challenge the Ice Queen. On getting to the palace, the queen ordered their immediate arrest. Fortunately, Uchenna and two other young men escaped, and others were caught, including Amadi, Uchenna's brother. Amadi and his colleagues were bewitched by the queen, and they were turned against their people. As if that was not enough, the Ice Queen also inquired about people who were likely to challenge her throne, and Uchenna was mentioned. She sent Amadi and some other guards to Uchenna's house. When they got to the house, Uchenna already knew that Amadi was no longer his brother because he was under a spell. They began to demolish his house. Okeh, Uchenna's only child, ran to his father's back. "Papa, Papa, why is Uncle Amadi so mean? Is he not my uncle again?" Uchenna sighed and patted his little son on the shoulder. "My son, don't worry. Soon you would understand." He left the little boy wondering. Uncle Amadi forcefully dragged his brother out and began to whip him. Okeh cried when his father was being whipped, but he couldn't do anything because he was firmly held and he was just a little boy. Despite how hard he pleaded and cried, he watched his father died at the hands of those thugs. Not only did his father face such torture from his brother, but also in the presence of the villagers, and no one came to his rescue. The villagers stood and watched those thugs, whipped and tortured his father to his last breath. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Yet, the trauma of his father's death never left him. Okeh dreamt of his father's gruesome murder every single night. He vowed to avenge his father's death. But how? The torture continued in Umuoma for a decade. At a time, people began to relocate to their neighboring villages for survival. The Ice Queen disciples kept expanding even to their neighboring villages. That was because many people came to her for power. She became so powerful and domineering that people began to worship her. One day, some villagers decided to pay homage to the Ice Queen, and Okeh secretly joined them. This time, Okeh was 20 years old, but he never forgot who killed his father. He stuffed gunpowder in a trash bag and covered it with some fruits. After dropping their gifts, Okeh steadily hid in a corner of the palace. His colleagues left, but he stayed back. In the night, he murdered one of the palace guards and dressed as one of them. He headed to the store where those food items were stuffed and took the gunpowder. He began to drop the gunpowder in every corner of the palace. Being that the security in the palace was too tight, it took him 3 days to cover every nook and cranny of the palace. On the day he set to burn the palace, he first of all drenched the water in the pool and poured enough gunpowder inside the pool, then set it ablaze. The palace staff were shocked to see smoke coming out of the pool because fire was not allowed in the palace. But before they could realize what was happening and raised an alarm, Okeh had already hurried to the queen's chamber and set it ablaze. The Ice Queen was caught off guard. She was running helter-skelter for safety. Unfortunately, every corner of the palace was burning. Everyone in the palace was running up and down, trying to save their queen. When she got to the pool, she was devastated as the pool was also burning. Then she began to melt because the fire had surrounded her despite being shielded by her guards. At a time, she let out a loud scream and dissolved completely. At that moment, everything stood still. Her spell was broken, and all the people under her charm realized themselves, including Amadi and King Nnanna. Some of the palace staffs were caught by fire, while others survived. King Nnanna was also saved, but his life was never the same. He died a few days later. The kingship was moved out of his lineage, and Okeh was collectively chosen by the villagers to be their new king, and he accepted. That is the end. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.